To celebrate the good reviews and improved sales of my historical novel, Zheng He, I have decided to read and broadcast the beginning of the book. Zheng He, Prologue. It was almost night, and a small crowd of children sat around on the floor of the wooden stilt hut, gathered around the feet of an old man with white tie, a white beard, and an aged, weather-beaten, gnarled face. As old as Father Time himself, so the young children said, whenever they were sure that they were out of his earshot. The hut was one of the small, motley group of stilt huts perched in the mouth of a great brown river, the water of which flowed lazily out into the crystal blue waters of the South China Sea. Human, animal, and jungle waste adding to the already rich water of the tropical sea, feeding the countless fish upon which the humans themselves fed. In front of the stilts was the sea, and in the distance, islands. Behind them, hundreds of square miles of jungle that only the headhunters properly knew. A nameless trading port, one of countless others scattered across the South Sea, remembered only by its inhabitants and by the few merchants or sailors who had ever bothered to actually visit it. Within a few minutes, it was night, pitch dark, without even a moon or the stars to light the darkness, and only the reflected glow of the fire in the tired eyes and glinting teeth of the old man, and the shining, excited eyes of the small children could be seen. "Tell us the story of Great Uncle Chen," cried out one of the small children, who was actually his grandson. "Again?" asked the old man, unable to remember the number of times he had told the tale. "Yes, yes," cried the other children. "Again." The old man nodded, and then, after a long draw on his pipe, and an even longer, last lingering sip of his cup of tea, he began to tell the tale that he had been telling all of his life. The tale of Uncle Chen, of Uncle Zheng, if he was to say his name correctly, of Zheng He, Lord of the Seven Seas, commander of the imperial fleet of His Majesty the Emperor of China, and one of the greatest navigators and admirals of all time. "My great uncle," he said it proudly, "was a man, not a god, although he was a man the like of which has not been seen before or since. A giant who walked for a short time upon the earth and whose life became a legend and who was the ancestor of us all. He was human, but totally unlike any other human I have or ever will meet, and he was a giant among men. Nothing you have heard is an exaggeration, and I know that because I myself saw him when I was a little boy. I lived in his house until I was 5. I remember the time I first saw him walk into the room shortly after my mother and I had arrived in Fujian. He was as high as the doorframe, 7 feet high, double the size of the jungle dwarves here, and so wide that 2 grown men could not put their arms around him. And it was not fat. He was strong as an ox, as strong as a giant. He could crush a man's skull with a single blow of his fist. He killed 4 sailors that way, but that was only when he was angry. But tell us, where did it all begin, Uncle?" interrupted one of the boys. "Tell us the complete story, from the very beginning." "That would take a long time." "Tell us." The old man settled back into his cane rattan chair, and smiled properly for the first time that week. His back had been killing him for days. Why not tell the complete story? What else was there to do in this god-forsaken village, masquerading as a port on the edge of a nameless jungle, a port to which no real ship ever came? Why not tell the complete story? Try to understand how it all came to pass, the wonder and splendour of it all, the vision of 1,000 ships and 10,000 sails, unstoppable and unimaginable, sailing to the very ends of the earth, and how, on that fateful day, the dream had also suddenly died. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Tomorrow I will begin Chapter 1.